comment in the chat where in the world you're coming from. It hasn't gone live here. There's a delay. There's a significant delay.
Oh.
So like 5 to 10 seconds delay. So even though you start this, it won't show up.
But we have to stall for time for puzzle prep.
For puzzle prep. No, we're talking about, I'm going to explain all this. Okay,
Oh,
so there we
I
go.
see.
Now it's starting to show up. Oh, I've got ads on this account. But let's see. I'm going to skip the ads here. And we're going to see who's here. Oh, yeah. So there's a delay, but there's a huge delay. Let me know if you can hear me talking. I'm hopeful that you can. Let me unmute the microphone just to be clear. Otherwise, you're going to get some feedback. Let's just turn this up. Feedback. Yep, there we go. Let's just turn this up. Feedback is very delayed, though. Feedback is very. Okay, yes, you can hear me, Mr. Newman, Joe. Okay, just mute that again. Good audio, good video too. Okay, well, welcome. This live stream is very, very impromptu. Unlike my other one, I'm just on my cell phone here, so it's going to be a very cash setup. This was going to just be a regular private video that I would do for an upcoming real data time video, but I thought I would share this all with you. So for those of you who are wondering, I'm not here with the other guy. He was just here. You just missed him, but he couldn't make it due to existential issues. But we've got Eric here, who's been in several other videos. You've lent a hand.
I've lent a hand.
And you've lost your head a few times
A
in the
couple
video.
of times. I try not to.
You try not to lose your head. You have lost your head for videos before. So we're going to explain what we're doing here in just a second. We're still finishing up the setup for this video. I'll kind of walk you through a little bit now what we're doing, and I'll explain more while we do the test. It's super cash, so I'm going to explain what I'm doing while we're doing it. But for those of you not familiar, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm facing away from the camera. Hey, no.
You should just talk to the camera. I'll finish this.
Okay, just make sure we're careful with everything. I've got the laptop here to read the comments. So yeah, so in the description, I've got a link to Mark Rober's video. Don't watch it now, but if you afterwards, if you're unfamiliar, he made a robot that can assemble an all-white puzzle. It has a robot that takes a picture of every puzzle piece. And then once it's done, it solves it in the computer, and then it has a robot arm that picks up every piece and assembles it like over here, one by one. And he had a competition where he tried to beat a human puzzle putter together. What do we call a person who puts a puzzle together?
A puzzler.
Puzzler? Is that really the word, or are you
A
just
puzzler.
a puzzler? A puzzler, and it totally. Be here because it's an all-white puzzle, and solving an all-white puzzle is very difficult for a human, but not for a computer. So but the process of actually putting the puzzle together, assembling it with a robot arm, was not necessarily the fastest it could be. Like a human, I think, might be able to assemble it faster, so long as they don't have to solve it. So the test I want to do is what is the time it takes for me to assemble a puzzle if I don't have to solve it? That's a weird sentence, but usually we solve puzzles while we assemble them. But I want to do a test that says, if I already have a computer that solved the puzzle, what is the fastest amount of time it takes my hand to pick up a disassembled puzzle piece and assemble it somewhere else? Just like the robot arm does in Mark Rober's video, but instead of a robot arm, it's a me arm, it's a human arm. So the idea here is I took this puzzle right here, just a regular 1,000-piece puzzle. It's called Living a Simpler Life. Hopefully that's not mirror image. And it is not a simple life. I don't know why it calls it. It was a complicated thing to put together. Oh, it's reversed. Oh, shoot. Okay, everything is mirror image. I didn't realize that. I wonder if I can change that.
Well, that might be your display.
Yeah, I think it's because I've got the I'm on the camera that faces me. So yeah. So anyhow, I assembled this just regular puzzle I bought, and then there's another video link to stuff made here. He did something similar, but he spray painted all of his puzzle pieces white, but then the paint was more thick than he needed it to be. Here, let me shift this over so you have a little more space. So anyhow, rather than trying to spray paint it and having the pieces not interlock, I just turn the puzzle upside down. So I don't know if you can see all this, but so these pieces all look white, but they're just the upside down parts. These are just regular puzzle pieces, but when you turn them upside down, they're white. So I assembled the puzzle right side up. It took me a couple weeks to do that, and then I just flipped it upside down, and now I'm disassembling it, but keeping everything in line here. All the pieces are in the same rows and columns, and I'm literally just going to take one and assemble them one after the other. So, what do we say? Soap. You invite Karen Puzzles. Well, I don't know that. I should take a look at that. So that's the test today. It sounds like it may not be super engaging, but it's mostly here to see how long does it take. You okay?
Yeah.
See how long it takes. Let's shift. Let me do those. Those on my side. I think it's harder when you lean over.
It is.
Or we. Oh shoot.
But we're almost done.
We're almost done. Yeah, we're just doing the setup here for this test that we're going to do. So once we've got all the pieces in line, we're just finishing up disassembling some of them. We can even shift. That's okay. Once we disassemble these, why don't you come over here?
But we're done.
No, but just if you come over here. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, all right. Let me move these back then, so they're all the same, row. This is the thing. I'm learning that
We need felt.
Yeah, cardboard's not as. Our cardboard's too smooth. We need felt or rubber or something that's more adhesive or just not as slippery. So we're just setting them up in rows and columns, and I just want to see how long it takes for me to assemble a puzzle. Where I just literally have to pick one up and go to the next one. Just pick, one after the other, like an assembly line. These are a little extra. I think what we should do is move these. This is my assembly area.
Ah.
So this needs to go. Hold on. Let's just move. Let's move this over here. I think there's room. Oof.
Are puzzlers going to experience a job loss? In the new economy?
In the new economy, the automation gets rid of all the need for puzzlers. Well, unlike other real things that we use robots for, puzzling is purely recreational. There's no practical use case for it. Okay, so the puzzle, I think I've measured this out. The puzzle will be assembled. This row here will end up here, and it'll take up a lot less space. Once we start getting some of the rows done, I think it'll be a little bit easier. I've got your laptop here. I'm going to ask that you look at comments. Where did the comments go? Why did that not? Top chat. Oh, it's jumping down here. How long do you think it's going to take? All right, Mr. Newman, that is a great question.
We made some estimates.
So you had a very optimistic estimate the first time we talked about this.
Yes, I was really optimistic. I thought that we would be able to get Peter into a situation where he could do every piece in a second.
Yeah, you said sub-second initially, with the pieces laid out, but naturally.
But then he called to my attention that the puzzle's actually quite spread out now, and reach is going to take up quite a bit of time.
I think I've laid it up so that it should be not too, I've got long arms, but I've got big hands. So I think long arms and little fingers are the ideal. Yeah. I've got long arms, but I've got big hands, so it's hard. The other thing is, like, picking one up without bumping the other ones is a little bit challenging, so having more space is better. So you originally said it would be sub-second for this test, and then the next test, I'll let you discuss once I start going.
I think if you were doing a little tiny puzzle,
oh sure,
like only 25
pieces,
then you could do it in sub-second, because there's not much reach.
So I did a little test last night. I took one of these rows, just like right here, and I assembled it in place.
Yeah.
It still was longer than a second.
Oh dear.
And then so doing this is even, it was like twice, yeah. So I think it's closer to an hour.
An hour for 1,000 pieces?
I think this will take me close to an hour.
Okay.
That's my estimate based on last night's, I just did a test with a few pieces. So.
That's still quicker than a robot.
Well, it depends. I'll get into that in just a second. I got a little bit more information from Mark Rover's team about the timing there. Oh yeah, so are there any more chats coming in?
How does, Harry Jha
yeah.
asks, how does our method differ from Mark's?
So Mark's is a robot. Hold on, maybe we should start. Let's do this. One of their questions. What's that?
Mark has to solve his puzzle.
Yeah. Well, we're still gonna. That's still part of ours too. But before I start answering, let's just get everything set up for the actual timing event. Oh, I see. This
But
one's
you have
first.
an egg timer?
No, I'm just gonna use either the live
There
stream.
is no first, because you can.
Well,
You can do
if I
anything.
pick this one, then it's farther away. I kind of want to. Oh, I'm gonna try doing this. This is a little bit dangerous.
Okay. That's dangerous.
You think so?
Just do that one last.
Well, then I just
Clear
don't
out
know.
one of these, and then do that.
Oh, I see. Start here, and then
Yeah, yeah.
don't put it down here. Put it like up here. And I guess it's easy to shift the puzzle once it's
It is.
assembled. So I'll start there and go on from there. Do you have my cell phone's being using for recording? You have a cell phone that
I
has
do.
a stopwatch? We can also,
We have a timer.
let's note the time. So let's look at the time on the watch, actually on the clock there. So it's 11. It's almost 11:45 where we're at.
We got 11:41 on the clock.
11:41. So we can try that.
Are we ready?
Are we ready? All right. I think we're all set. I think
Okay,
I've got
let's-
everything. Let's go.
Let's go.
Boom. All right.
Boom.
So what was the question? The difference is Mark's robot does everything basically robotically. I'm saying the first stage of his robot just photographs all the pieces. That's fine. I'm not challenging that. The second stage then takes all of those photographs and then in the computer solves all the pieces just based on the shape of them. I'm fine with that. But the third stage is the actual assembly. The computer solves the puzzle before even setting up before touching one single piece. And what I'm saying is the final stage where it goes through, picks up a piece, and then puts it over and assembles it, that I think runs slower than what a human can do. And I was able to get in touch with some of the folks on his team. I had a connection with them from last year. And I asked them, can you give me more specific benchmark performance on how long did the final stage actually take? And they had a more complicated answer than I realized. So there's actually more, did I tell you about this? There's more than one mode. Did I tell you that, Eric?
In solving his puzzle?
Yeah. So there's the fast mode and there's the accurate mode. And there's a spectrum between the two. Basically, the faster the robot works, the more chances it has of not getting the interlock correct. Like, the pieces have to fit together. It's one thing to lay them pretty close together, but another thing to get them to lock.
Then the middle of the puzzle will have all sorts of weird bumps.
It's worse than that. If one is placed incorrectly, then the next one will be placed incorrectly, and it's a cascading problem. So if you miss one and you don't put, if I put this puzzle piece in the wrong spot and then I keep going, all the subsequent pieces will also be in the wrong spot. So you have to have a human come in and fix it. So that's what I learned was his robot in the fastest mode occasionally has a foul up that requires a human to come in and just kind of poke it in. But the slowest process is 100% accurate. And that process checks the piece to make sure that the thing it put in really did go in and it really is, interlocked correctly. And it wiggles it around. Oops, so this is a little bit off. Okay, good. That one shifted a little bit. Still got it. So just so everyone knows, each one of these rows, there are 25. You want to shift it a little bit?
Well, I was
Yeah,
hoping that these were separated, and then if we got this one here, you're just going like that.
Oh, I see. I put them together because I thought I wanted to have one continuous space, but you're probably right. I should probably, next time, segment these out better. Okay, I'm almost done with a row. There are 25 rows, so each row is 4%. So take this time and multiply it by 25. What's the time right now?
We got 2 minutes 45.
Yeah, that's slower than what I was doing yesterday. Maybe talking.
You have a Schlemiel problem here.
What's that?
So in computer science, there's a problem iterating over some objects. So let's say C strings, they don't have a length attached to them.
Okay.
So you actually have to scan through the whole string to find the end.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you're doing a bunch of append operations.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one's quick, the string's not too long. But as the string gets longer, you keep doing the scan until the end.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially it's like, oh, I have a paint job, and I leave the bucket in one spot, and I keep getting farther and farther away from my bucket.
Yeah.
And so the first day you have pretty good productivity, but if you're going to do this like 2 or 3 days, your productivity significantly declines.
Well, wait a minute. So in this case, the distance that I'm traveling for each piece is the same. No, because I'm shifting to the right every time I move.
Yeah, that's true.
So if I just take a little bit of step left, there should always be one piece on my left hand, one piece on my right hand. I brace with my left hand over here, and I pick up with my right hand over here. I could, I should tuck the piece a little bit closer. That might be a little bit better. Yeah, there's a lot of little ergonomic tricks that I'm like, oh, this is taking longer. Wait, why don't I just move this over here? But the real test, if this goes well, this is just looking at the ideal time it takes to assemble a puzzle without me having to solve it or have a computer tell me where it is. But the ideal case is that these are all jumbled up, just like in Mark's example, and the computer tells me, pick up this piece over here and place it over there. And that's another layer of complexity and time, which will probably be slower than what we're doing today. But I just want to get the ideal case today. Can you check, make sure I'm not?
Yeah, maybe it should deliver the pieces on a little conveyor belt for you.
So stuff made here, he did a slightly different approach, and it's a little bit similar to that one. He had a conveyor belt where he put them in. He would scan each piece in one by one into a scanner, and then kind of sort them into a stack, and then the puzzler would assemble them one by one.
So we got 2 rows.
2 rows are done right now.
At 5 minutes, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while.
It's gonna take a while. Can she just check? I don't know if it
How many pieces was it again?
1,000.
1,000 pieces.
1,000 pieces. So we got 40 across and 25 down. 25 rows here.
25 rows.
So each one of these rows is 40 pieces long.
So we know where all the pieces go because you assembled the puzzle earlier and flipped it upside down and then broke it apart in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no guessing as to where the pieces go or what orientation there is. There's
just
no actual solving right now.
no solving.
Only assembly.
It's so dumb even I can do it. But if this test goes well, then the next test is, okay, let's say we do have these pieces randomly placed in a location that only the system knows about. What is a good way for the system to tell me where every piece is? And originally I thought, well, what if I had some sort of laser that was on a motor and it had some sort of trigonometry to figure out where to place the laser? Mm-hmm.
How does in the situation where the pieces are all spread out in a random jumble and not an organized grid, and the laser points at which piece to put, it also needs to tell you the orientation.
You'd have to have 2. Your laser wouldn't be a point laser. It'd have to be a.
But how does the computer know which piece to tell you to place?
Yeah, so that actually makes it a little bit simpler. So in Mark's example, they place the puzzle pieces in a predetermined order. You start with the top left, and I think you zigzag diagonally until you end with the bottom right. So you know the order of the destination pieces, just not the source. So that, and then in the other one, stuff made here, he did it the other way around. He would feed in the puzzle pieces one at a time, and then the robot would just place them just randomly wherever, freely in the grid.
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
17
next
seconds.
row. So there's 2 different ways to do it. The Mark Rober approach is to say, look, we know where the piece is going to go next. We're going to append it to the piece we just laid down. So you're always appending to the last piece you just did. And you can choose. You can do a spiral. You can do left to right. You can do zigzag diagonally. You can choose whatever you want.
But the computer has to know the source piece.
Yeah. So all it needs to tell me is, here's the next source piece. And as long as I know what the pattern is that we're choosing.
And are those source pieces spread out on a table like this?
Yeah.
Okay. But in a organized grid?
No, in just like when you dump a puzzle on a table.
A jumble.
It's a jumble. Okay. The orientation and positions are completely unknown.
So I recall that Rober's bot had to do some careful scanning of each piece's edges.
Yeah.
And if you just dump them out on the table, even if you organize them into a neat grid with a good color background.
Yeah, you need like a black background.
It's still gonna, like, can you get a camera from a few feet away?
So he actually uses the
same
phone that I have. He's got a Google Pixel 8, I believe.
But didn't you set it up so that it had the same geometry each time it scanned the piece?
I mean, I don't exactly know how that all worked. He had it on a CNC machine, and it would just hover over the piece one by one and just take a picture of each one. Yeah, I don't know
Oh, okay.
how it, I don't think it rotated itself. I think it just took a picture and then said, okay, I see a piece, and let me orient it.
Because my prediction is if you took one snapshot kind of far away from like the ceiling height,
Yeah, that's,
that it's gonna cause enough distortion that you won't be able to get the computer to find out which pieces match up.
right. And in fact, I believe he used, so Pixel 8 has a couple of different cameras. It's got like a wide angle lens and a long lens. He used, I think, the long lens, because it has more of an orthographic view. I'm done with another row.
9 minutes 20.
So that's what, 4 rows? I'm trying to do the math here.
Is your arm getting tired?
No, my hips are.
Oh, your hips are
This-
swaying.
I'm kind of leaning every time I go down, and I'm leaning more on the left than on the right because I spend more time on my left than on my right. Or this is mirror image. So for all those folks, everything's mirror image. So this is my left here, this is my right, this is my left. This is where I get the most amount of
Sway.
yeah, ache because I'm spending
Well-
more time here than I am here.
Let's see. Herr Jha suggests maybe we should rotate the prepared lines by 90 degrees.
Yes, I tried that too. Because then it'll be a little, because I'll be
Because
closer
then
together.
everything's close together.
Oh, I tried that. I'm trying to think now while I do this. I'm trying to remember why that was the thing. I think I just didn't have a tabletop space for that as easily. Although now I've shifted everything. Yeah, maybe if we did this again, it would be better. Then the issue. Oh, I remember. The issue is then I'd have to reach
Farther. Yeah.
this way. I think. I guess we could still. No, you could still just change. You could do columns instead of rows. Yeah, I looked at a couple different ways. I thought this would be the most efficient, but now that I think about it, you're right. I'm putting myself super long this way, but the alternative was putting myself super long this way, and that's, I think, still harder to reach across,
No,
reach forward.
I got an idea, but because you tape these two together, I have to wait until you're half done.
You want to fold. You want to fold it in
I
half.
want to fold one down and then put the other next to you.
No, that's not a valid representation of what would happen in the real world.
Why not?
Because in the real world, you have all the pieces in one
Oh,
grid,
yes.
in one rectangle, and then I wouldn't. You can't touch the pieces once they're photographed. Once the machine knows where all the pieces are, you just leave them there, and then you just take one out. If you start moving things around, then it becomes difficult. So maybe you tell them. So we talked about
Oh, yeah.
for the real solution. I thought, what if we had a laser? And then I thought, well, what if we had a tabletop that had like an LED screen on it?
You got
Where are we at?
11 minutes, 37 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not halfway done. So we talked about a couple different things, and then Eric had a great idea, which I think solves a lot of these issues.
The laser is pretty cool,
Yeah.
in that you can do some, you can move the spotlight around.
Mm-hmm.
If you have extra equipment,
Did I
then
lose
you
it?
can do something like draw an orientation line,
Yeah,
so you know how to rotate it.
right.
But doing laser projection requires a mirror setup, and I don't know if those are controlled by like an HDMI output or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't know. But it occurred to me after a little while, we could use a projector.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen that in some science museums, and I've seen it used in some YouTube videos.
A downward projector.
So if we had a projector in the ceiling just facing the tabletop, then it could put a light spot anywhere in the display range.
Mm-hmm.
The only trouble is mapping the display range to the table itself,
Mm-hmm.
but that's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just project a rectangle, which is your perimeter, and then you put some tape on the table that represents that. And so you just make sure those two are aligned.
And there is still a problem with the source puzzle, the source pieces, right? So you do have to take some photographic snapshot.
Yeah, you still have to do all that.
So
That's still done the same way as the Rover robot. That's not her. But so for the text.
but once you map your photograph to a full screen,
Yeah.
then everything lines up.
So what you could just do is have the projector say, here's the next piece, and it just highlights it, and then provides some sort of line, which acts as your orientation to know, if you need to shift it left or right or 180 degrees or whatever. All right, we're
So
almost done.
We got 5 lines.
This is my 5th? No. This is my 5th or my 6th?
Oh, you're completing the 6th line at
Ah.
13:45.
Yeah.
Green Code asks, what was Mark's robot time?
So the full time I think was somewhere between 4 to 6 hours, photographing, computing, and then doing it. The actual time of just the assembly, I did get those numbers from him. I don't know if I should reveal those exact numbers until I have an actual solution that works. But let's just say if I can do this in less than an hour, I can beat his robot. Although this is an ideal case. It'll take longer once I introduce the projector, whatever it is we decide to do. But if it takes me longer than an hour to do this, it's almost kind of not worth it, because it's like, okay, the robot can go pretty, that's the robot going as fast as possible. Now, when the robot does its thing where it says, I'm gonna be 100% accurate, yeah?
Yeah.
When the robot says, I'm gonna be 100% accurate, that takes several hours.
But if it goes as fast as possible, then it gets something wrong by half a millimeter and the whole puzzle's broke.
Right, but then a human helps it.
Oh, a human steps in.
So,
Of course a human steps
well, that's the thing. So that's the bigger question is, what is an acceptable amount of human interaction? Right now, my model is 100% human in terms of the actual physicality of it. In the Rover robot, the fastest it runs does need a human occasionally to fix mistakes. But when it runs really slow, it runs 100% automated. So I don't know which number to use. I think if I'm allowed to touch the pieces, which obviously I'm doing for mine, does that mean that he's allowed to do the same for his?
So in a like automated factory puzzle assembly setup, it's often the case that there is a human monitoring the machines and just looking around to pause if there's any problem.
Yeah. All right, done with the row.
15:47.
I'm going to shift a little bit this way so I can lean in a little bit. I
Okay.
think that'll stay. The problem is if I bump the cardboard, then that's a big.
Then everything's a disaster.
Then everything's a disaster. Yeah. How many? Do you see how many views we have? It should say how many people are viewing.
We got 10 watching.
10 watching. Last time I did a live stream, I think I got to 20 or 30.
So the Larsenist asks, how much faster do you think that you'll be?
Well, now I'm not so sure. I think it might be, comparing myself to the fastest that his robot can be, I think it's going to be not too fast.
I thought for sure that humans had an advantage still in navigating 3D space.
Yes.
Because we've essentially trained our whole lives to do that.
Yeah. So in Mark's video, he talks about that all. He talks about like, oh, humans are really good at doing all this three-dimensional choreography. And I said, yeah, let's just use a human then, you know? It's kind of a weird example where I'm suggesting we automate the thinking, but we have the manual labor be done by a human. Usually it's the other way around in society. We have the machines do all the manual work and we let the humans do the thinking. But I think in this case, the human might be better at the manual work.
We're definitely worse at the thinking.
We're definitely, well, it depends what we're thinking about. I think there are other examples where the human is better at making the decision than the machine is, depending on what it is you're deciding.
Well, assembling an all-white puzzle is very difficult for humans.
Yeah.
And the machine has a distinct advantage there, even though it uses, I guess it uses some more fuel in the form of electricity. Although, because the human takes so long, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, the human just takes so long. We burn fuel even if we're not efficient
Yeah.
at making puzzles. Yeah.
All right. We've got
Is this 8 rows?
8 rows and 17 minutes, 52 seconds.
And we're, what, a third of the way done?
So Mr. Newman asks, where do we think we rank with our technique in moving these pieces around? Are we about average?
In terms of,
I think this is a realistic setup.
oh, I mean, yeah, how realistic we are. I think that, yeah, in the Mark Rover case, he had a staging area, a rectangle over there, and the robot would move here to the assembly area.
Now, if you were to lay out all the pieces in a more random order, and then have to reach for whichever one was indicated by
Oh,
a system.
you're right. Yeah, that's a little bit.
It might actually take you longer than you're going now.
Yeah, you're right. This is definitely an ideal case. So the idea is if this takes long, nothing will be faster than this. Any subsequent test would take longer. So the next test we would do, if this goes well, is here's what I was thinking. I didn't think I told you about this. So for the projector, if we get the projector installed, we still got to figure out how to photograph all the pieces, but we don't. What we could do is, if I have an assembled puzzle already, I could have the computer randomize the location of all the pieces by assuming each piece is a square in a grid. And then the projector then says, take this piece here and place it here in this orientation.
Yeah.
And so I manually set up the initial layout based on what the computer tells me to do. And then we just run that back and say, okay, now computer, tell me where the top left corner piece is. Okay, now tell me where the next piece is. So you could do a test that way, where you don't have to have a robot or a photograph anything. I become the randomizer, and I randomize it based on what the computer tells me to do.
That would give a good estimate. Do you think with practice you can get faster at this assembly?
Yes, I also think that's probably better. Also, I don't think I'm the best person to do this. I think getting a 15-year-old kid or something like that would be a better.
19 minutes 57.
So this is where you thought I would be done. You thought it'd be 1,000 seconds or so. It's like 20.
I thought it would be 20 some minutes.
Yeah. So maybe I'm just not fast enough. I can try to go faster, but I'll make more mistakes.
Yeah, I significantly underestimated the reach problem.
Which is interesting because I never took you as an optimist.
I mean, all my projections on how long something will take assumes no problems.
Right. That's an ideal.
Yeah, it's an ideal imagination.
Ideally, it should only take me 20 minutes to get there. Okay, oh, can we talk about how you're able to be here today? Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. Yes, we should talk about that. I was going to say how perilous it was for you to get here today.
Well, so I estimated that it would only take me a few minutes to get here, and then dangerous things happened on the way that I didn't take into consideration in my estimate.
Yeah, Eric's a trooper here. So he got into a little bit of a bike accident.
Yeah.
Not with anyone else, just with a slippery
with the road.
With the road. So both of us, in a weird way, have dealt with slippery surfaces that didn't provide as much friction as we had hoped. Me with the cardboard, not so important.
The road usually has quite a good amount of friction.
Usually it does, but not when the.
In fact, I've gone 600 something miles without any incident like this. Most of my other incidents have been I almost ran into something but was able to brake.
Yeah.
And the things I almost run into are cars that didn't realize I was there and got in my way.
I've only had 2 collisions on my bike, and they were both where I was on the right-hand side of a car.
And they turned right?
And they turned right, but didn't tell me that they were, so I didn't realize this, and they didn't see me.
I am definitely on the watch for that situation. No vehicle, and this is true even when I drive, no vehicle is looking on their right for somebody coming up when they're on a regular street just turning right. Because any pedestrian's not going to overtake them.
Mm-hmm.
That was 22 minutes.
22 minutes. I think I am.
But an electric bike can go quite fast and just totally hit their broadside as they're turning right.
Yeah.
And I've had that almost happen a couple of times. One situation I expected the car to clear, but they had to stop for a pedestrian that was walking in front of them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And since I was not in a position to see this pedestrian, I was not able to predict that they would stop.
Keep hitting it. I'm going to have to switch sides, I think, because I'm reaching too far. I may move. Actually, how about this? Can I ask you to move very carefully? No, let's move the red thing, the chair out of the way.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm going to stand there in just a second. And then maybe we'll switch the laptop to the other. Well, you and I will basically trade positions.
We'll trade positions.
We'll trade positions. Let me finish this row. We'll trade positions. And then you can tell the classic story of John Henry.
Yeah, Herr Jaw says we're all victims of physics.
Yes.
So I've got an electric bike. It goes about as fast as some of the cars on these more residential streets. So I was just driving in the street with everybody else, and we come to a traffic light, and I want to take a left, so I get in the left turn lane and I just wait behind the car in front of me, and everything is perfectly fine. The light turns green and it's time to go left, so I could start going with the cars, and as I'm turning, I completely lose traction and wipe out and fall on my left and scrape up pretty good on the road. Surprise to everybody involved, I guess, including myself, I expect the road to maintain my traction. And after I get up and sort of walk away, I look at the road and it's all oily in that lane. No way I could have seen that because it was under the cars.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that sounds terrible. But you're okay. We didn't have to go to the hospital or anything.
No, I wasn't going super fast.
I'm going to take a water break and then we'll switch sides here.
Dear. John Henry will just never outdo the machines.
All right, I'm
So
going to
we're-
switch sides here. And then maybe if you move the laptop.
We're at 24 minutes.
We're at 24 minutes. I'm going to move this over here. Make sure the camera still sees me. Yeah, I think we're still good to go. I'm taking a tiny break. Whew. All right.
How are your arms doing?
It's okay. It's the hips.
The hips
And it's
still.
also, I get a little bit nauseous, I think, from rocking back and forth. Yes, my hips. You know what? I probably need a higher table. That's the other thing too. Is I'm too. Both Eric and I are too
We're
tall.
too tall for all of American furniture.
Yeah. So and that's why I had the chair here. I was kneeling on it.
You know, in the Netherlands, they have different standards.
Oh, really? Like
Yeah.
a higher? They have a higher standard, literally.
A higher standard of cabinetry.
Did I ask people in the chat where you all are coming from? I think I did, but I don't know if we got any answers. If you put in the chat where you're coming from, how many viewers do we have right now?
We got 13 right now.
Oh, 13, okay, one more. Yeah, I suspect this is not going to be the most thrilling event. This is just super cash.
Mr. Newman suggests that we could tell someone else to randomly organize it in the grid and then put it on the table so that all we have to do is click a button and then see where all the pieces have to get placed.
Wait, say that again?
So if someone were to randomly take the pieces and still lay them out in the grid,
Yeah.
then it would be easier for the computer to
Oh,
solve the puzzle.
And it just tells us
And
go
then
to
tell-
B26 or
Yeah,
whatever.
tell you which positions
Yeah.
to pick up.
What's one of the things I thought about doing was having some lines, so like a grid, yeah, basically, and then have it either tell me where it is and also show me a photograph on a laptop of like the picture of the piece and where it should go.
So Newman does point out that it's kind of interesting that would the computer's display keep pace with your work? And so maybe it would be good.
I'd hit a button to say.
Yeah,
go
it would be good
next.
for the software to have a button.
I wouldn't want, otherwise I get to keep up with it. I'd have a button. That'd be another thing is how do we make the button go quick? Because what if there's a delay in the
pedal.
button? Well, foot pedal or even voice activated. Yeah, that might be a little tricky, but that'd be completely hands free. Go next, something like
That's
that.
a lot of next.
If you yeah. Ooh, I bumped it. Okay. Also realized I'm not left-handed, and now I'm.
Now it's more of a challenge.
It's a little bit more. I'm switching hands. I pass it to my hand. I don't know if it's quicker or slower. That might be quick. Well, I don't know. While I'm placing one, I'm already preparing the next one. Can I do two things at once? I don't know if I can.
I can. We're at 27 minutes.
27. Oh,
All
you know
right.
what I should do? I should do. Is that better this way?
Maybe.
To go because I don't know. I'm trying to figure all these efficiency ways. Like I'm right-handed, so going left to right usually makes the most sense.
Are we caught in a trap where we're just trying to prove that we still have some skills that the robots don't have?
Well, oh yeah, you want to tell the story about John Henry?
Yeah, so a long time ago, when the Industrial Revolution was occurring, we still got material out of the ground through hard grunt work, manual labor. And in fact, a lot of it still is, even though it's accompanied by machines today. They didn't have machines back then, so all the chiseling and the pounding and everything was manually done. Some inventor did a great job thinking up, oh, we could power something like a jackhammer with a compressed steam. So we'll have a steam-based jackhammer. And it was loud, it was noisy, it was clunky, it used up fuel like crazy, but it did get the work done quicker. Now John Henry was a fantastic miner. I think they were digging a
He
tunnel.
was a grown man, not a minor, but a minor, not a minor.
Correct.
Or no, minor, not minor.
And I think they were digging a tunnel for a train. And his position was that he didn't want the machines to put any of the union workers out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
Little did he know, they're not out of a job, they're just accompanied by equipment today.
Mm-hmm. Well, there might be fewer of them today.
There might be fewer because of the efficiency.
Fewer jobs.
In my opinion, that's not a nice job to have,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Some people are probably more outdoorsy than me. We're at 29 minutes. So each row's taking about 2 minutes.
You know, I realize it takes me longer on this side when I get to
Because of
here.
the left hand?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just compressed. This is farther out than here.
Oh.
The distance from here to here is not the same as here
Yeah,
to
yeah.
here because this is expanded. Anyways.
So they decided to have a contest, and John Henry would use the traditional techniques, and some other guy, I don't know, would be on the steam-powered jackhammer, and it turned out John Henry won the contest. Now, it was like an 8-hour day, and he was completely exhausted, but he won. He did finish the job quicker than the steam-powered jackhammer. And then he died. So the problem with pushing yourself to exhaustion is sometimes you really push too far, and that's what happened. So after he won, he also died, which is, in my opinion, is not really much of a win.
Let's hope that doesn't happen today. I don't want to become.
Happen with you?
I don't want to become John Henry.
The John Henry of puzzle solving.
Puzzle solvers. Also, the jackhammers got faster anyhow, right? I mean, today the jackhammers.
They got faster. They got
Yeah.
quieter. They got more efficient.
So presumably
Yeah.
he wouldn't have even been able to win the competition today. And I bet someday we'll have a robot. Maybe we already have one that could go faster than any human could possibly go without any
Yeah.
mistakes.
Now, maybe the correct way to solve the puzzle is to take the blank canvas as it is and cut all the pieces in place.
What do you mean?
I mean, you take your little cardboard out here and you just cut it. And ta-da, it's solved.
Oh, I see. Well, that's like manufacturing. I mean, it might be simpler to just not even cut the puzzle at all. Just have the picture and you're done.
31:15.
All right, we're past halfway, I think, right? How many rows do we have?
I think we're about halfway.
About halfway. I was hoping for a 20.
I was 8,
Mm-hmm.
9, 10, 11.
11 remaining.
And you've done
13, something like that.
12?
12, 13. So 12 and a half is the halfway point. So this is looking like it might take more than an hour.
Yeah, so Hairjaw mentioned the machines doing jobs instead of humans is definitely better if the job lowers one's life expectancy.
Yeah.
Those are exactly the jobs we shouldn't be doing.
So do you think me doing this job is lowering or heightening my life expectancy?
That's a good question. It's a fair bit of moderate exercise, so it might actually have a hormetic improvement.
Well, yeah. What are we comparing against? If I'm sitting at my computer, I've heard.
Well, we know
that's
that
like the worst.
computers are the death of us.
Yes, that's what I've heard too. Like it's actually quite terrible what we do sitting at computers, even though that's what I do every day. Every day.
Yes. You're not the only one.
And I'm not.
I love my office job.
Yeah. So oh no. So yeah. So I don't know. Standing up. This might actually be better for me, but also it's a long amount of time doing this.
Now given that we did some things like switch around and take a little break,
Yeah.
have a glass of water, should we pause the timer for those?
No, because I mean, so when the Robot did the challenge with the real human, I mean, it took hours, I believe. So I think that's all part of the process. Is the robot doesn't take a break, right? I don't think.
I don't think it does.
So if I take a break, that's on me. I think.
33 minutes.
Wow. I'm gonna start here.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to take about an hour.
Yeah.
Your estimates are good.
So I
Mine
was
are
like,
entirely optimistic.
which is not character. I don't see you as an optimist.
I am when it comes to scheduling.
Scheduling, I go, yeah, it wouldn't take that long. So yeah, so this for this live stream, I was like, okay, I could just do this in private, but like, yeah, maybe we'll just do it as an actual live stream video. And I'll talk while we're doing it. And then you said, oh, it should probably take like 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, yeah, I think it'll take longer, but we'll see.
Well,
Now it's
longer
like,
could
yeah,
have
it's
been
an hour.
30 minutes.
Well, sure. I figured it would take about, originally I was thinking like 5 to 10 seconds per piece, which I think is most closer to like 2 to 3 seconds per piece. Right, so if we did a second per piece, that's 1,000. 2 seconds per piece is 2,000. 3 seconds is 3. Yeah, it's probably going to be like closer to 4 seconds a piece.
If we flailed you to go as fast as possible,
Yeah.
would you start making more mistakes and actually get slower?
I'd make more mistakes. I don't know if it'd be enough to change my gains, to overcome my gains. I don't know. But who knows with all this. Yeah, I do wonder. Yeah, so in the real deal, I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to reach. Yeah, I'd be reaching over here half the time. So that is an interesting problem. I know that was the thing they said. The human said in the Mark Rober test. Tammy, she said, "Oh yeah, she's not a tall person. She had to like run around the table and like grab pieces from over there and stuff like that." Whereas the robot didn't have that problem. So yeah, having a large space to work on, having a large surface area is convenient because you don't have to worry about bumping multiple pieces together. But then it also increases your reach.
Now, I have seen some new industry stuff where you have an omni-moving table or omni-moving surface. So anything placed on the surface, there's a bunch of stuff underneath that can get it to move that object around.
Okay.
Now, I don't think any of those are small enough for the puzzle pieces that are so lightweight that you could move individual puzzle pieces around.
Oh, I see, yeah. Well, then you'd have to set it up, yeah. And so another thing to point out for the test they did is both the robot and the human in Mark Rober's test had all of their pieces laid out on the table in a sufficient area with all the pieces facing the right way. So there was some humans, the robot couldn't open up a box of puzzles and spread them out. A human still has to help the robot, but so then they just did the same for the human as well. So that's the good question: is what is a right amount? Am I cheating by doing what the robot should do? I think not. I think if anything, the robot's the one cheating, taking away what humans were supposed to be doing.
This is a task-specific comparison, right? So opening the box and spreading out the pieces is not one of the things that we're comparing with.
Right.
That has to happen in both cases.
Right. But what if we change the metrics to say, okay, first open up the box, then set up the puzzle? The robot would have so much trouble with the first part, just opening the box.
It couldn't get anywhere.
It wouldn't get anywhere. Whereas the human would take a long time, but eventually would get there. So that's why it's convenient when you start defining your metric of success as being just the things that you're really good at and not the things that you're unable to do.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, like, suppose all the pieces were spread out. But you could make it, like, I could imagine a situation where the CNC machine that's picking up the pieces actually didn't have a large enough area.
Yeah.
In fact, most CNC machines are much smaller.
Right.
So
they had to, I think they had to build
They had
some
to-
extra stuff.
yeah, they had to have a special arrangement there. But I could see that you could solve the puzzle on smaller blocks, like these cardboard pieces, and then just move those blocks into position.
Well, but then, okay, so let's say when you start off with all the pieces, are you saying that all the pieces are spread out into smaller rectangles?
Yeah.
But then what if one piece on this rectangle has to move to this other piece? Like, let's say we split into 4 of these rectangles.
So Rober's bot says, or Rober's bot can place a piece arbitrarily.
Yeah.
So can you with the projection system.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, but what were you saying about?
So it doesn't matter if you have a block of pieces
Mhm.
and they're sort of scattered in the solution.
Yeah.
You can be told where to place the pieces.
But what is the benefit of doing it that way rather than having one
Less-
large
Less
rectangle?
reach.
But, okay, so let's say
Which could also be a problem in some manufacturing situations.
wait, so let's say, for example, let's say we have four cardboard pieces here
Yeah,
that all have different, the pieces are all just laid out. And I say, give me the top left corner. Well, it's way over on that piece. Okay, now give me the next one. Well, now it's on this other one. Like, it could still be all over the place. It's not like that's gonna help speed up the process, right?
no, you just do one block at a time, and you place them all down.
But how do I
And that
know?
block is done, and you do the next one.
Okay, but, wait, so this is different now. We're not setting up so the destination pieces could be anywhere.
Could be anyone.
Well, then they won't interlock properly. Are you saying, oh, I see, you go back later and make sure they interlock?
Yeah.
So in this process, you're not putting one piece, appending it to the last piece necessarily?
No, not necessarily.
All right, that's more like the what's made here process. That's what it would do. It would just put them wherever. It would look like Swiss cheese for a while until you filled them in.
Yeah.
You could do that. Yeah, so I see what you're saying. So then the reach becomes a non-issue because you say, show me where all of these pieces in this area next to me go, and then you reach and then move them over. Yeah, I guess that might work.
And it also helps out if the projector can't fit the whole space.
Well, the projector has to fit. Now the projector, okay. So
It has to fit the puzzle and the block that you're doing.
You've got like two projectors or a larger projector area. You now have to be concerned with both the source and the destination. Whereas in this process, the projector doesn't care about the destination. It only needs to project on top of the source because the destination is already a well-known process.
40 minutes, 20.
How's the chat? Are there any
You got nothing new in the chat?
Nothing. Okay.
And 7 watching.
7 watching. Yeah, it's getting boring.
I
don't blame you.
You could take the video and then
Edit it.
and then go 3x super speed run.
Well, so people who are watching this live can't do this, but when the video finishes, then yes, you can just jump to the end. So that's what I was like trying to like do a live stream, but then also answer people's questions and things like that. But yeah, it is more of a. It's not as bad as watching paint dry, but
we're making progress.
it's not as visually stimulating. That's why it's a live stream, not a. I wouldn't want to make this a regular video. Like, okay, guys, here's an hour-long video. Now it's a live stream, and you can just skip through it and see how much you want to do. Put it on in the background. So yeah, if this goes well, then the next step would be to try and do something with the projector. The other thing you could do, so let's say we change the process. We say, forget this white puzzle business. Nobody puts together, does anybody really put together an all-white puzzle?
They buy them.
They make all-white puzzles?
All white, all black.
Really?
Yeah, they're purchased.
Oh, okay. That just seems like an unnecessary problem.
It's a niche hobby
Yeah.
to assemble these things.
Right. So what if we had a picture? What if we turned the puzzle back right side up, and then we scanned the picture off of the box, so the computer knows where all the pieces should go based on picture. Then I give it a piece and I say, where does this go? And it says, I think it should go over here. I don't know if that makes sense.
I don't know if it could do very much better than humans in that case.
In that case, it might. The other
So-
might do better.
So some images might be easier for it to do that, and other images just as hard for the human.
Yeah. Well, then I thought maybe it would be
'Cause-
helpful for the human though.
I can see some. Well, this happens as you assemble many puzzles. Is that some large areas you can sort of assemble first because the features stand out in the imagery.
Yeah.
You got 42 minutes, 40 seconds, and then as you fill those in, and what remains are things like foliage.
Mm-hmm. Right. The
Which
foliage. Oh my goodness.
A tree over here and a tree over there, they both look like tree.
Yeah, you have to have pretty good color acuity, because same with this puzzle. This puzzle had shadows, which were and sky with clouds. So it's like here's a bunch of blue and white pieces, and they all kind of look the same.
Here, John mentions that watching two adults play with puzzles for science.
It's for science.
It's the most entertaining content on the internet.
There we go. This is what, when I was a kid, my parents said, what is he going to do when he grows up? I don't know, put together puzzles that he didn't actually need to solve first in order to try and challenge a robot that was made to put together puzzles that were never meant to be industrialized in the first place. This is all meant for recreational stuff.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times in science and math and people make progress by playing games.
Sure, you learn truths about other aspects of reality from the game you played.
And this is true for even in regular gameplay. Some people will like add additional constraints just to make the challenge more interesting and harder. And that forces a kind of a creativity to think of solutions you weren't thinking of before.
Yeah.
So I could see that like a puzzle solving robot becomes
Good at other things.
might push the envelope a little bit on accurate placement with speed.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's other reasons you might want both of those things at the same time.
Right. What if that robot ends up becoming like a surgery robot and can remove the tumor very precisely? No, I don't know if that's
I
an
mean,
example of it, but
44 minutes, 50 seconds.
I've heard that about space, the space industry. We've developed so many materials and other products that were used in space initially.
To survive that?
Well, like, what were, I'm trying to think now.
One is the Fisher Space Pen, which is a compressed, like the ink cartridge in that pen has a compressed airing of nitrogen or something. And that means that it can write anywhere.
Well, I'm thinking more like the computer that was used on the lunar module was like the most advanced computer at the time, and so they had to develop better computers. And today we use computers for all sorts of things, even though we're not in space.
There's an interesting problem with sending computers into space. They're subject to more cosmic radiation and whatnot.
They have to be shielded.
Which can upset the communication. So as the traces on the chips get smaller, it's easier for them to be upset by that radiation.
Oh, yeah.
And so now modern chips don't do well in space because they need quite a bit more shielding. Whereas the clunkier chips with fatter traces do a better job naturally without so much shielding.
So yeah, maybe we'll discover something here that humanity had never known, and now we've. Oh, did you know how they invented that cure for cancer? Yeah, it was some guy on YouTube
doing
puzzles, and it turns out when you do the puzzle this way, it's an interesting problem that is only ever needed in this one other aspect of life. It could be, but there's also a fair chance that for every one of those things that we heard about, there's 100 that that was just nothing.
No, when I was a graduate student studying compilers, there was a paper that came out about register allocation. And now, for viewers that aren't terribly familiar, computers have these variables in memory, and the chip is only so big, can only hold so many of them in order to do the computation that it does. And so a lot of what's happening with the chip is moving those variables in and out of the registers where it can work. That was 47 minutes. And this is a problem in compilers because it has to set up that movement for the program to take later. And it's a problem known as register allocation. You got like 20 variables in your function and only 5 registers to work with. How do you put them in and out of place so that they're where you need them when you need them? And one of the papers that came out was register allocation by puzzle solving. And what they did is they took the registers and they assigned them to shapes. And then the chip itself had a particular outline. And the idea was you have to get all the shapes into the outline properly.
Okay.
And that they did it in such a way that it forced the variables to be where they needed to be at the right time.
Okay.
But it essentially turned register allocation into a problem like Tetris.
Okay. Hey, can you, yes, very carefully,
Very carefully.
put it back where that was, and we're gonna switch sides one last time. Put it over on top of that
Over
right there.
here.
Yeah, and then we're gonna switch sides one last time just to do those last few rows. Yeah, I mean, who knows what comes of this, maybe?
Now, in an abstract theoretical sense, suppose that you were to know the order in which you got all the puzzle pieces in a Tetris game,
Mm-hmm.
and you wanted to do something like maximize your points.
Sure.
This is a very challenging problem.
Yeah,
but
there's
I
so many
think it's
combinations.
NP complete.
Mm-hmm.
But it also means that you can take almost any other problem and turn it into this puzzle,
Yeah.
the Tetris assembly puzzle.
All right, we're gonna switch. I'm done with most of the puzzle.
49 minutes. I was hoping you'd take sub an hour.
Well, you think I'm gonna? We're at 49.
We're pretty close.
Pretty close. I hope this
Can
will
you
go
do-
faster because I'm on my right hand again.
3 rows in 10 minutes.
Oh, that's why when I use my right hand, I'm twisting this way. But when I hand it to my left hand, then I don't twist as much with my hips. I think that's why my hips are hurting more here than over there.
Twisting.
Twisting. If I use my right hand to twist, I feel it in my hip.
Golf players get the same problem.
Maybe we can solve something in golf with this, that's the solution. Another recreational endeavor. But yeah, so there's a couple of other things I've been looking at doing for the channel, for those interested. How many people are viewing right now?
We got 6.
We got 6. Well, the 6 of you are still here. I'm also looking at doing stuff other than the normal word analysis stuff that I did. Because I did the Markiplier video, and it didn't do very well. But I'm changing some things up, maybe that will perform better with a different thumbnail.
You keep rejecting my ideas. That's totally okay, because they don't cost anything to come up.
Well, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, I think yours are more science oriented, like more thickly.
Yeah.
And
And the problem is production costs, because like with the chess pot, you have to make
Yeah.
a whole program
right.
in order to do chess, and it's only a 20-minute video.
But one thing I was looking at was talking to the folks who went to Antarctica to prove the Earth is a globe. The flat Earth isn't. If you don't know, I interviewed a guy who was going to Antarctica to see whether the Earth is flat or round. And one of the folks that went there was measuring the centrifugal force of the Earth using common scales. And I actually just ordered a scale. I ordered a different one that didn't work. But I ordered one now, and I'm gonna maybe try that out. So what basically you do is if you go to different latitudes of the Earth, the amount of centrifugal force that you feel is different. Because at the equator you have a lot of centrifugal force from the spinning
51,
rotation.
28?
51. From the spinning of the Earth. So what if you weighed something at the equator,
Yeah, at the equator you might feel less weight
feel less weight?
than at the pole, because you're spinning around the equator and you're only rotating at the pole.
So I'm considering going to Alaska, which is not the North Pole, but close enough. And I live at like 30 degrees latitude. So if I have a kilogram weight that I weigh at both locations, will I be able to detect the difference? One of the guys that went to Antarctica says, yes, you will. And in fact, he did.
That piece cost you.
What's that?
That piece slowed you
It
down.
slowed me down.
In the wrong
In
rotation.
the wrong rotation. So I'm thinking about doing that, but also I'm trying to model it as well, trying to understand why. Because Neil deGrasse Tyson has changed his mind on this. So there may be a video there. I'm talking actually to my dad about this, who's a physicist, and he's helping me model it.
You're saying scientists change their mind?
Usually
Do they keep changing the story on us?
it's the flat earthers arguing with the globe earthers, but in this case there are two globe earthers disagreeing with each other. They don't know each other, but
No. What is the nature of their disagreement in magnitude?
yeah, it's very
small.
they're not disagreeing with the shape of the Earth, just the magnitude that would have on measuring weight. Because
I could see that we already know that the equator is a little bulgy because of this effect.
Right.
And so maybe it totally cancels out?
So That's what Neil deGrasse Tyson says now. It seems like he's wrong about that. He was right the first time. He used to say, yeah, the weight will change at the equator versus the North Pole. Then he says, well, actually the Earth bulges, and so the gravity is actually different at the North Pole. Actually, you have a little bit less.
53:30.
Ooh, we're getting there.
We're gonna do sub an hour.
Just barely. Then he changed his mind. He's like, no, actually it cancels itself out. There's more gravity there's less gravity at the North Pole, and so actually you shouldn't feel a difference. But the guy who went to Antarctica is like, nope, I've measured it. He's wrong. I believe with the modeling I've seen so far, I need to take a look at this more in depth. Neil deGrasse Tyson is right. There is more gravity at the North Pole, but it's so minute in magnitude compared to the amount of centrifugal force we have. So I think there's a magnitude issue here. We've got two different things canceling each other out, but not really because one's greater than the other, so it doesn't actually make a difference.
Mostly canceled out.
Mostly. So that's another video. I'm thinking about doing another high effort video because I got to fly to Alaska. But that's another non-word analysis type video. All right, folks, we're almost done.
The bitter dregs.
The bitter dregs. We will see how this turns out.
NH Studio wishes us a great day and is a big fan of the videos.
Oh, that's the name of the person. I thought you were okay. Thank you, NH. What is it?
NH Studios.
NH Studios. Thank you so much. We are almost done.
No, I don't even know what this puzzle looks like. To me, it's just a white canvas.
Did you see the box? I showed them the box at the beginning. I'll show you again.
I wasn't paying attention to the box.
I'll show you the box.
You showed it to the
Actually,
camera.
we can turn this upside down again.
Yeah.
Or right side up, I mean. All right, get ready to stop the stopwatch in just a few seconds. Well, more than that. All right.
Just a few seconds.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, and last one is done.
55 minutes, 31 seconds.
That is longer than I would have liked. It is still faster.
How are your arms?
The arms are okay, it's the hips.
Oh, it's the hips.
I've been doing this all week.
All week? So you
I've been doing
up.
this all week.
Oh, that's bad on the back.
Yeah, and so I sometimes sit on or kneel on the chairs. But yeah, the leaning, that's what got me. Can they see? Let's hold this up to the camera so they can actually see the stopwatch. Because I've learned something from flat earthers that nobody believes it. Oh, it's reversed. Oh, I forgot. It's mirror imaged.
That's fine.
That's fine.
They can watch the video.
They can watch the video
fix
and
it.
switch it back. Okay, let's do. Will this be big enough? Let's do. I think this is just bare. You know what? Let's not do that. Let's.
What do you mean?
It's too small.
Oh, it's too small?
I taped these two together. Wait. Oh, wait. Let's not go that way.
Want me to do that?
It's taped in a way that will fold better this way.
And just put it there.
Let's turn it the way this way is bigger.
Then
Okay.
flip it over.
Flip it to me. I think it's about. Oh, watch out. Okay. And now move the camera once we get there. There it is. Let's move it here. Yeah, turn it towards the camera.
That's pretty.
It's like a real puzzle. Be careful.
As long as I hold it, it's connected.
So that's what it looked. That's what I assembled. So the black parts are really hard to do because they're really dark. Let me get the glare away from it. Where is his twin? Yeah. So I said he's unable to be here today due to existential problems. All right, you can set that down. So just under an hour. If anyone has any more questions, now's the time to get them in. There's a bit of a delay, so.
That's so pretty.
Mm-hmm. So much prettier than the all-white puzzle, but yeah, the blacks were hard, and even the whites were hard. It was a little bit addicting, though. I was like, I gotta get the next one, and it's kind of a mindless task. So when I'm tired,
that's how it brings you in.
Yeah, in the evenings when I'm tired doing stuff, then
the progress is clear, and each piece is a little reward.
A little reward, bit by bit. I'm gonna come over here. All right. Oh. So let's see, we got a bunch of stuff coming through here. Wait, where? Oh, well, physics. Where are we on this? Isn't it all right to pause the timer for the human things? Oh, I see. That's what we already saw. Putting down 1,000 line feet speed run. Will this be public later, Mr. Newman? Yes, it will be public. This will just be like another video. If you go to the live section of my channel, it'll show up as a regular video there. And then watching two adults of puzzles for science and most entertaining. Oh, we did go through some of these already.
Yeah.
Good day, big fan of the videos. Thank you, NH Studios. Anna Patal, yeah, twin. Sorry, had some existential problems. I think comparing you showing the camera a piece, it telling where pieces goes will be slower than you pressing the button for the next position and telling you where the piece goes that position. Yeah, so I think Mr. Newman's saying it'd be quicker to do the button. No, than you pressing the button for the next position. Yeah, telling you where the piece could go. I think comparing. Yeah, wait, am I reading the right? And comparing you showing the camera a piece and telling where to go will be slower. Yeah, so talking about the one where I show the piece to the camera, it takes a picture and it goes here, that's probably going to be slower. Yeah, and let's see. Anav says, I was joking, buddy. Thanks for seeing the message. I hope your channel grows. The Vsauce video was superb, supporting from India. Thank you so much, Anav. Yeah, unless there's anything else, I think we'll. What else is there? Let me just turn this up a little bit. I think we might be done there. How many do we have going on right now? 8 watching. Yeah, so there we go. So that's test number 1. An hour is longer than I'd hoped. Here, I'm going to move over to this side here.
Yep, an hour.
An hour is not ideal for the robot.
I think you would have
at
been moderately quicker without talking.
Moderately, but I don't know if it'd be that much better. And also, I don't think it would be a speed run no matter what, because I would be, it's just, you can't sustain this you can't sustain a height. I can't sustain it for
A fast pace.
Yeah, fast pace. Maybe if I was 15, then it would be like, yeah, I just sat there for an hour, whereas I'm like, oh, this is when I was assembling the puzzle, I didn't have enough light. Like I had these lights, I was doing that at night, it wasn't as bright. And I had my reading glasses there. I wasn't using my reading glasses, I wasn't using the light. And the next day my eyes were like, oh, this is so blurry.
Really?
So then the next day I put up more lights and I have my reading glasses that help. I didn't really need it for this because I wasn't really looking today.
You can do everything by feel today.
The dark pieces are hard to read, especially if there's not a lot of light. So so that was that. So we might do another test with the projector. I just don't know. I need to go back and think about that a little bit. Because getting a projector to do all the stuff to basically not beat what is already out there is a little bit disheartening. So, yeah.
Maybe there's other things you can do with such a projector setup.
Well, sure, there might be. Well, and maybe there's other techniques you can use. So here's the thing, also. It takes an hour and a half for the robot to photograph all the pieces.
Yeah.
If you have another technique that doesn't require that, if you can start assembling pieces right off the go, then that might be a better alternative. I just don't know what that would be like. I'm going to start assembling while the computer is helping me. So it's more of a hybrid approach. Like the computer is an assistant. That might be better. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, so in an hour, how many pieces can you do on your own? You could definitely get the frame.
Yeah, about the frame. The frame is quickest.
You might be able to do something like get the tractor or something about that size.
I believe I probably took 10 to 20 hours to put this together in total. Obviously, these pieces took longer than the edge pieces, or the high detailed pieces were easier.
Yeah.
So how much can you get done in an hour of the edge pieces? Yeah. So if I were to do this, we probably want to do the edge pieces first, anyhow, just to get them off the table.
Everybody does.
Well, the advice from Mark Rober's video is no, don't do the edge pieces. Do the easiest ones that have patterns, and then they can help inform you. Like these will intersect the edge pieces.
Oh, so everybody goes that way. They do the edge pieces, and then they do the easy patterns.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's what one of the things that they said. Let's see. Mr. Newman says because in the first computer are more involved, which makes them more limiting than the second one, in which it seems that you, human, are more limiting. First computer more involved, which makes them more limiting than the second one. Are you trying to break it?
No.
I'm not sure.
Playing with her dangerously.
Mr. Newman says it was very nice to do some brainstorming. And he's also from India. Yeah, a lot of my followers. Oh yeah, I'm surprised the Indian folks are here. It's pretty late there right now. In India, it's like after midnight. I did these earlier in the past to try and capture the Indian and Indonesian viewers a little bit more easily, but it was just difficult to do that today. All right. Yeah, so I'll see what I want to do with this. Final time was like, what, 55 minutes?
55 minutes.
And if we had a projector, I think it would be double that probably. You think a projector would be double?
I don't think it would be double.
50%.
Maybe 50%.
50%, so we're at like an hour and a half. Yeah, so, yep, it is 1:15. Yeah. Well, thank you for watching this. I'll try and do live streams earlier if I can to capture the Indian, because I have a lot of folks from India and Indonesia. But we'll see what happens with this. Good night, Mr. Newman. Yeah, well, I think we're going to sign off. And yeah, was there anything you wanted to tell our audience that you're dying to tell them that we didn't already talk about? No.
No, I was dying to get here.
Thankfully, you didn't die on the way here, although you had a close call. So, all right, well, thanks everyone for watching this. We'll see if this turns into something more. But yeah, as for now, I think we're going to be done with this. Have a good night for those of you in late places, and I will see you next time. Let me now turn this off out of live stream mode, and goodbye. Here we go. It's